Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Victor Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, August the 11th, 2026. If we'd start by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
The republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible.
Some announcements before we get started. Emergency exits are on both sides of the meeting hall as well as to the rear. Restrooms are out the door and to the left. If you would, please be sure to sign the attendance sheet at the back of the meeting room, even if you're a developer and presenting an application. There are business cards at the back table next to the sign-in sheet to take with you with the email, address, and phone number for the planning department. And also on the back table are copies of the resolutions that will be read tonight along with our agenda. If you would, please turn off your cell phones. And if you're going to have conversations, if you would, please take them out into the hall and close the door so that we don't disrupt the meeting. Thank you. We do have meeting minutes from June 9th, 2026. Has anybody had, or everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes? Any comments or observations? I'd like a motion to approve them.
I'll move.
Al moves.
Second.
Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4-0. Do we have any correspondence tonight?
No correspondence.
Okay, no correspondence. So we have an update from Jen for the town board.
Is it on? Oh, there you go. Thank you.
There we go. Is that better?
All right.
Okay. Good evening. Just a couple items of note from the town board. We did enter into a lease agreement with Victor Fire for them to take possession of the two Fishers firehouses or fire stations. And also we're entering budget season. So starting next Tuesday, we'll have our first budget workshop that will be here in the main meeting room from 6 to 9 p.m. Any questions for me?
The Victor Fire Department, do they have paid staff now, or are
They do, yes.
They do. So manning the firehouses, what's that look like? Out of the three, how many will be manned?
Well, the High Street one will definitely be manned immediately. They're working with Bushnell's Basin still to work out the final details for everything else. So it's a work in progress, but progress is being made.
Very
which
good.
is
Thank
very
you.
nice. Yes, thank you.
And then Lisa.
Yep. So your next meeting is August 25th. You have on at 820 Canning Parkway addition, located at 820 Canning Parkway. They're requesting approval to construct a 15,200 square foot one-story addition to an existing building for a total of 40,200 square feet. You have Day Pole Barn over at 7875 Dryer Road. This is approval to construct a 5,000 square foot accessory barn on 56.735 acre parcel. You did see this a little while ago for a subdivision. Stover subdivision site plan over on Benson Road. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a single family home with septic on a 2.6 acre parcel. And then you have Woods at Valentine section 2 through 4, the final subdivision. Over on High Point, requesting approval for 71 for-sale townhouse units and one 4-story apartment building with 100 units within Section 2 through 4. And any carryovers from tonight.
Thank you. Very good. Then the first item on our agenda is an extension of time for the Galassi Utility Site Plan. This is not a public hearing. It's application number 01SP2026, property located on Lineau Road. Applicant is requesting their first 90-day extension of time for the site plan approval. Do we have any comments from the board? If that's satisfactory, then we'll move right to the resolution. This is a resolution for a Galassi Utility Site Plan. Today's date, site located on Lineau Road, application number 01SP2026. Whereas in a letter dated August 10th, 2026, BME Associates has requested a 90-day extension of time for application titled Galassi Utility Site Plan. Therefore, it be resolved that the Town of Victor Planning Board grants the first 90-day extension of time for the Galassi Utility Site Plan. Like a motion to approve.
Move.
Al moves.
Second.
Trish seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved 4-0. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing. It's for Victor Community Church Roof, application 20 SP 2026, for property located 7500 to 7512 State Route 251. Applicant is requesting approval for a change to a pre-existing flat roof structure to a shallow pitch EPDM roof system. Do we have anybody from the church here to talk? Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Arnold Larson. I'm with
Hi.
Victor Community Church. Been here several times and just wanted to give an update here and talk about our project that we have planned right now. As you've seen probably on the street, our southern addition is well underway, and that is going very well. But what we discovered recently was we've got an existing flat roof that now is a good time for us to replace. And so here you can see in between, if you look at the top rendering there, on the left side is the addition that's under construction right now. And on the right side of that, the sanctuary was built in 2016, and the office building out in front of that was just built last year. So this is kind of our last remaining flat roof problem, flat roof that needs to be replaced. So what we're doing is we're infilling that with a low pitch EPDM roof. And we're going to go with a 1-on-12 pitch in there, in that center section there. And then we'll be putting up a parapet wall on the east side and on the west side to shield that view of the EPDM roof. So what we're proposing is that we replace that roof with wood trusses and just general construction for EPDM product, and to make our facility to take care of all of our roofs for many years now. So it's currently under construction on the southern addition out by 251, and we'd like to have Finger Lakes Construction just roll into continuing this work before they close up that wall, that common wall between these two improvement projects. So as noted here, the one of the comments from the planning department or the building department was obviously to pursue a building permit. We have applied for the building permit, but obviously we have to obtain your approval first. So we're here tonight to answer any questions you might have, and we're prepared to start construction and wrap it up yet this fall.
I think you're fortunate to have discovered the need to make this adjustment at this point during construction rather
Right.
than further down the road.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Al?
I do not. Nope.
I have no question. Seems very
Okay.
straightforward, and it looks like the new building profile from the roof that you're proposing will look even nicer than it looks today, so.
It will be, and it's all shielded from the addition that we're putting in out on 251 right now, so it's behind that. But the east and west parapets will cover that up too, so.
Very good. And Wes?
No comments.
Very good. Then I think,
Thank you.
did I miss a resolution? Oh, it's a public hearing. My apologies. Anybody from the public have comments? Questions? Move to close the public hearing.
I'll move it.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We do have a resolution then for the Victor Community Church roof site plan. Today's date, property located at 7500 to 7512 State Route 251, application number 20, SP 2026. We have 7 findings of fact. So whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on August 11th, 2026 and identified no significant impacts, now therefore it be resolved that the project, Victor Community Church, will not have a significant impact on the environment and that a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore it be resolved that the application of Victor Community Church site plan entitled Victor Community Church Roof Site Plan drawn by Wolf Architecture dated September 11th, 2023, received by the Planning Board July 7th, 2026, Planning Board application number 20 SB 2026 be approved with the following conditions. The first one is standard. The ongoing conditions that the site plan comply with Victor design and construction standards for land development, including section 4. And second, that a building permit be obtained prior to the start of construction of the roof. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. All in favor?
You want a motion?
Oh, I want a motion.
Make the
sorry.
motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain as a member of the Victor Community Church.
Thank you. Approved 3-0. Okay. The third item on our agenda is also a public hearing. It's for the Gallison Ground Pool Site Plan Modification Application SP 22 SP 2026 for property located at 7885 Hidden Oaks. Applicant is requesting approval to modify the temporary construction access from what was approved on their site plan in 2025. Anybody here to speak?
Josh Landscape Company.
Pardon?
Nicole, Josh Landscape Company.
Thank you.
So we are proposing to come a little further down the road due to a lesser slope and an easier access. It was an old maintenance access road, and it was through the woods, so it seemed less disruptive to the site.
So if I've got this right, the original plan approved one access point and you chose to
Correct.
use another?
Correct, yes.
Without any discussion, just sort of did it?
Correct.
Okay, and it
Yes.
was that a design fault that you weren't aware of the grade that was going to be accessible originally?
was-
Or
Partly to do with the conditions at the time. We started the job in the fall, and it was extremely muddy and rainy, so it was sort of a in-the-moment decision. We regret that we did not come before you and ask permission first, but it was a moment made in the moment decision so that we could avoid creating a huger muddy mess along the lawn in front of the
Sure.
house. It seemed less disruptive, and it was in the woods, and it had like I said, it was used previously as a maintenance entrance, so it was kind of already, graded out that way.
Okay. I'm getting some indications that quite a number of trees were impacted by this alternate route or the new route.
The homeowner can speak to that a little bit more. There were not any taken down by us. That was done, if any trees were taken down, that wasn't part of the project.
Yeah, it was.
If I could have your name in your...
Oh, sure, yeah, Michael Gallus.
Thank you.
No problem. So the path already existed. There was some fallen trees and it was overgrown. And our neighbor, before we began to go down that path, I have an email from them saying that that path sort of existed as it was. It was just simply overgrown and there was fallen trees. So the option was to move the trees out of the way. It made more sense. We didn't have to drive over our leach fields or go near our septic tank at all. So I thought it made the most sense given, how muddy the conditions were as well.
I have some pictures, if I can.
Sure.
Of the conditions now, so it was heavily seeded and strawn, and it's growing nicely.
Send that down. While we're looking at that, question about how then is this pathway, this access road going to stay open then? Is that going to let it go back to nature? What's,
Eventually, yes, so when so we would like to continue to use it once the stop work order is lifted, and then it would go back to natural wooded area. So
Okay.
we would seed it so that there's a ground cover and to prevent more erosion, but these guys don't use it for anything.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no plan to use it.
and I know
Sure.
when we originally looked at this and approved it, there were concerns about stabilizing the site and the grade in the back. How's that coming along? Is that,
Good, yeah, we've got a fabric set of straw, straw fabric along the whole back slope right now. We haven't had any problems in that regard.
okay. Chris, do you have any questions?
Um, is there something oh, here's I had a question. I know there was a concern with, the the stabilization of the natural stonework that was addressed as a code comment and wanting, additional studying to be done on that, and you didn't think that was necessary. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Are you referring to the walls, or?
Yes.
Yeah, so the boulder walls will be placed with geogrid, which will be dug into the slope, and then the boulders will be on top of that. That's what I recall talking about during the first approval process. So that hasn't changed.
Trying to find that. I know there was a comment just requesting there to be additional study done on that, and that was being recommended, and that that your company didn't feel like that was necessary. So is there, you felt confident with?
Yeah, looking at it now as it's starting to take shape, I think we feel the same, that what we have in there will suffice. We did end up, one of the other comments was to make the walls thicker of the pool, which we did do. We went from 9 to 12-inch reinforced concrete. Yeah.
And was there any drainage, any, to the affecting the adjoining properties, any adverse drainage from that?
No, their property slopes towards the Gallus' property, so
Okay,
nothing was pitched towards the neighbor.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott?
I guess, just wanted to make sure, all this work took place on the owner's property, correct? No one else's property?
So there was some crossover to the neighbor's property at their request.
At
They,
the neighbor's request?
yes, originally, yes.
Okay, is there some plan to restore whatever?
It is all restored. It's all seeded and grown in, which you can see in the picture. Some of that, I didn't specifically take pictures of their yard, but yeah, it's
Okay.
all been seeded and growing in.
Okay, well, and I suppose if they were objecting to anything, they would say something tonight, wouldn't they?
Yep.
So, okay, I don't have any more questions.
Al?
No questions.
Wes?
Yeah, I think I've learned a little bit here tonight from your talk and presentation. So I did have a question about the gravel access road and whether that was going to be removed. Sounds like you've answered that. The stabilization, the seating, that's already been done. So I think any comments that I have, they've been addressed.
The public hearing is open. Does anybody have any comments or questions, observations? I do have a comment from the Frank Miller, the code office, saying that given the location of the already temporarily installed temporary construction access road, it's strongly recommended that as a condition of the site plan modification approval that a common parcel boundary be surveyed and clearly staked out to avoid encroachment. Any feedback on that?
That's not a bad idea.
I do have that as condition number 3.
Awesome. I hadn't
You
gotten
wanted to
that
keep
far.
it in there. Yeah, no, but I did catch that from him.
Very good. And the public hearing is open, so no comments. Move to close the public hearing.
I'll move it.
Scott moves.
Second?
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then a motion to move forward with the resolution.
Okay,
How do you guys feel about the trees? I don't have anything in the condition to replace the trees. But that is a comment of the Conservation Board, so I didn't know if you wanted to add that or not add it.
Indicated that the site's been restored, the gravel has been replaced, and grass has been grown. How do we feel about that?
what about the trees, though?
Trees, yes, no?
The Conservation Board had cited that trees had been removed, and they had recommended that trees be restored, some be planted.
And we're being told that there weren't any trees removed, is that correct?
They were fallen. They were already on the ground, the trees that they sort of just pushed out of the way.
Yeah, it was a woodland that just, they didn't use, so they weren't maintaining it, so there was a lot of,
There's
just
overgrown and fallen trees.
yeah.
I guess that question becomes, how do we react to the Conservation Board's comments on trees? We don't have a count exactly, and we don't know, with respect to the applicant's comments, we don't know whether these were dead trees, live trees, or, if they were valuable or not. I don't know how we react to that.
I'm not sure I know either. Any thoughts, Al? Wes?
I would say in the absence of any definitive information, I think we just remain silent on it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Al. I'm just reading the Conservation Board comments here. It mentions the Conservation Board recommends replacing any trees or significant vegetation removed as a result of the revised access route, preferably within or adjacent to the disturbed area to restore the natural landscape and discourage the access route from becoming a permanent travel corridor. I think the grass that's been planted probably takes away or addresses that the drive or the access drive not become a permanent travel corridor. I don't think there's been any indication from the applicant as to the significance of any trees that have been cut down, right? It sounds like it's been deadfall, so.
Just grass, though, absent anything else, would sort of preserve that corridor, particularly if it's mowed. I suppose if it's left to go back to nature, be okay. I think we've discussed the Conservation Board's comments. I don't think, again, to Scott and Al's point, I think we should move on.
Can I keep these for the file?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Did you have any plans at all to put any more trees up? I mean, I don't know if that's even part of your plans, or were you not planning on putting any more trees up?
At this time, we were doing the grass because it was going to grow in the quickest. I think these guys have some plans to do some,
I think if you ask my wife, she
Landscaping?
probably will put some trees in there,
Okay.
but yeah, that's sort of like a phase 2 of the
Right.
project.
Yeah.
So that's something that you are
Planning down the road.
possibly planning yourself anyway?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, then. I think we'll go ahead and move on to the resolution. So we got a resolution for Gallus in-ground
We
pool
gotta-
site
we
plan
gotta close
modification.
the public hearing, right?
You did.
We did? Okay.
Dated August 11th, 2026, property located at 7885 Hidden Oaks, application number 22 SB 2026. Planning Board made the following findings of fact, and there are 8 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Josh Landscape Company, site plan entitled Gallus in-ground pool site plan modification, located in the limited development district, received by the Planning Board July 13th, 2026, Planning Board application number 22 SB 2026, be approved with the following conditions. The first one is standard. The second one, that comments from Labella Associates dated August 11th, 2026 be addressed. Then ongoing conditions, that the site plan comply with Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including Section 4. Second, that a highway permit be obtained for the placement of the access drive and any required restoration work. And third, that the neighboring common parcel boundary be surveyed and clearly staked out to avoid encroachment onto the adjacent parcel. And be it further resolved that the Planning Board Secretary distribute the Planning Board's approval letter.
Before you vote, I just want to put on record, there is a comment from YouTube. You did discuss already. We understand the Conservation Board was requiring trees be replaced in the temporary access road after review. Wayne Mintz and Cindy Miller on Hidden Oaks. I just want to put it on the record.
So they recommended not required, correct?
They said that the Conservation Board was requiring trees to be replaced, but
But in fact, yeah, they recommended.
you've already discussed it.
Okay. May I have a motion then to approve?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Scott, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved 4-0.
just question on the highway permit. Are you saying then we do need to obtain a permit from the highway department?
So that was a question that was cited by, I believe, the code officer. So what we would suggest is reach out to him,
Okay,
the superintendent, and ask if he is requiring anything.
okay, we'll do that.
So if he doesn't, he doesn't, but just reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Stevens in-ground pool and structure, application 21 SP 2026, property located at 7603 Arbor Glen Drive. The owner is Diana Stevens. Applicant is requesting approval to install a 16 by 35-foot free-form fiberglass pool, a 16 by 16-foot covered shade structure, and an 1,800-foot paver patio.
Good evening.
Hi.
Ryan Lasham with Lasham Lawn and Landscape. We're the contractor, here to answer any questions as far as the project's concerned.
Okay, can you tell us what you're looking to do?
Yes, absolutely. So we're looking to put in a pool in the backyard there with a patio surround, and also a 16 by 16 foot shade structure. There will be some retention on the one side of the pool that'll transition to some stairs that'll allow access to the side of the house.
Very good. Okay, it looks, I'll start. Scott, do you want to start? Do you have questions?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the plans here, make sure. I think I see this in graphical form, but perhaps you can tell me verbally how the site drainage works with the addition of this new significant structure. All right, I think those are my questions.
Okay. Trish?
I'm good.
No questions.
Then I'm going to defer to you, because there's a number of questions I have about the retaining wall and engineering, and drawings
Okay.
stamped and signed, et cetera, so.
Yeah, okay. Couple of comments for you. I think on the retaining wall, we did note that the detail sheet shows that the maximum height would be 44 inches. And we thought it might be beneficial if you were able to identify maybe the top of wall elevation and bottom of wall elevation at several points on the span of the wall.
Sure.
Just so we can identify where that 44 inches is going to be potentially. The existing contours of the site, were those derived off of LiDAR, or were they surveyed?
It was the original survey done
Original survey?
when the homeowners bought the house. That's what we took it off of.
Okay, all right. And then the proposed contours there, I see those are in green.
Correct.
You might want to just take a second look or revisit the end of those proposed contours to see that they tie into the existing grades and existing contours where necessary. That might be helpful. Other than that, just a minor comment to throw a north arrow on the site plan drawing, and I think that's probably it for us. This would be a type 2 action under seeker, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the plan? I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll move it.
Scott?
Second.
Al seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Okay, then, I think I'm ready to go. Okay.
The septic, I presume, is in the front yard, is that
That's
right?
correct.
Okay. I do have a resolution then for Stevens in-ground pool, dated August 11th, 2026, property located at 7603 Arbor Glen Drive, application number 21 SP 2026. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 8 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Lasham Lawn and Landscape Incorporated site plan entitled Stevens in-ground pool located in the limited development district received by the planning board July 7th, 2026, last revised August 10th, 26. Planning board application number 21 SP 2026 be approved with the following conditions. The first is that no final signatures will be given on the plans until all legal and engineering fees have been paid per fee reimbursement, local law adopted November 25th, 1996. Two, that the comments from Labella Associates dated August 11th, 2026 be addressed. And the ongoing conditions, the first one is standard. The second one, that a building permit be obtained for the pool prior to installation. And third, that a building permit be obtained for the retaining wall prior to construction. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. And may I have a motion to,
Move it.
I'll second.
Scott moves, Trish seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved 4-0.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The fifth item on our agenda tonight is the horse short-term rental, application 008 SU 2026 for property located at 1514 Cranberry Pond Trail. The owner is Seth Harcher. Applicant is requesting approval to operate a short-term rental out of their home. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Seth Horcher, and yes, I am applying for a short-term rental permit for our property at Cranberry Pond. And it's a 5-bedroom house. We're planning on renting 3 bedrooms on the top floor, and we'll be downstairs living in the basement, as well as we're also planning a trip to Japan later, where Camille will be moving in, and she's here as well, and she's our secondary contact, so she'll be on the property. So it'll be a fully hosted short-term rental.
Can you tell me how many people you expect to there? How many bedrooms, how many cars will be on the property?
We're going to have a limit of 3 bedrooms, so 6 total people and 2 cars for the short-term rental.
And the existing parking for the extra cars is there, and no construction will be required at all? It's all existing?
Yep, it's all existing. I have some photographs of kind of where they'll be parking with one of our cars there, and we had some extra stones poured to kind of make that area a little bit bigger than it was, but yeah. And the inspectors came by to do the pre-inspection, and there's a couple notes that they have that we're working on too. So got to replace 1 fire alarm, carbon monoxide downstairs in the basement, and then also fill out the sheet that needs to be on the front door to make sure that we have all the information so they can contact us, the guests, and all that information. So we're working on those things.
Very good. Al, do you have any questions?
No, it appears to be code compliant with what the applicant's proposing, so I don't have any questions.
Very good. Trish?
So that I understand, there's three rooms that are upstairs and up to six people. Are you looking to rent to like a specific one family or to multiple families?
It'll be a short-term rental, so whoever rents it's through Airbnb or another online service will be the kind of intermediary. So up to 6 people could have access to it.
So it could be 3 separate rentals going on?
It'll be a single rental. We're renting it as just a single, like they'll rent the upstairs.
Oh, so it's one person renting for the 3 rooms?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one family or.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I wasn't sure if it was all these families coming in.
No.
So it's one family.
So one family.
Having access to 3 rooms?
Yep, and the upstairs kitchen and bathrooms.
And then
Yep.
2 parking spots?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott?
Regarding parking, I'm looking at your site plan, so there's an existing residence and there's an existing garage, and is the existing garage where you, the owners, will park, and then where these 2 little red cars are shown? Is that where the guests are going to park?
The guests will be parking where the red cars are, yes, and then we'll be parking in front of the garage, so in the garage area.
So the garage and in front of the garage is fair game for parking. I mean, it looks like you have you have 6 people, including yourselves. It seems like you'll have some automobiles there.
There'll be a maximum of 4 cars there, so that'll be,
Okay.
yeah.
And where the 2 red cars are shown, is the driveway going to expand over there so that that's a hard surface on which that will park, or is that just lawn right now, or what is that?
It's a stone surface, so it's a stone driveway.
So does the stone driveway extends to where those 2 red cars are shown on the drawing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Yeah, it appears to meet all the requirements
Okay.
from code. And this is a public hearing, so if folks have a comment, yes, please.
First of all, thank you all for your service. Mark Hamilton, 1527 Cranberry Pond Trail. I'd be the last person to stifle the entrepreneurial spirit having a 44-year-old business that resides here in Victor. But my wife Marcy and I just cannot support a short-term rental special use permit in Cranberry Pond Highlands. It just doesn't support the vision and spirit that Victor Mellon had for this quiet, secluded neighborhood that attracted most of us to settle there and is a showcase neighborhood for Victor. I understand that it is zoned R2, but if we look at the covenants published by Victor Mellon and filed with the Ontario County Clerk in 1994, the original intent was for single-family dwellings with an option for an outbuilding in-law apartment to be used for owners, guests, or in-laws, but specifically not to be rented. All cars are supposed to be parked inside an attached or detached garage. The proposed special use does not support these covenants with a long-term rental downstairs and short-term VRBO-type rental upstairs. It also creates the opportunity that changes the quiet, serene environment that we all enjoy with no real control over issues that arise that accompany short-term rental situations. I work closely with and/or sit on the board of 2 communities, one in Victor and one in Canandaigua. And for these very reasons, there are minimum 6-month rental requirements required by HOAs in these communities. This proposal, with multiple parties, one long-term downstairs and one part-term VRBO rental upstairs, will create unmanageable problems due to multiple parties and their guest cars parked outside, issues that come with flipping short-term rentals and proposed signs at the corner of the road. This does not fit the spirit and vision of what Victor Mellon had for this beautiful neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
So I was unaware of the covenants on the properties. And I'm not quite sure of how those apply.
So Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but code officers do not do anything with covenants. They have no jurisdiction over it, I don't believe.
Are they legally binding?
They are, but in a different scenario than the municipality.
So do you have any input or feedback on that, Al? Or Wes? I'm
Well,
sorry.
yeah, I was just going to say, given the uncertainty there, I think we should have legal review before we
I'm in agreement.
address.
Yeah, I think that's a wise course of action, right? I know that the covenants are a civil matter as opposed to municipal. So we might want to get some guidance from the town attorney on that.
So the covenants, easements, and restrictions.
Give us your name
My
and
name's Tom Travato. I reside on Cranberry Pond Trail, and I have some other comments also. But the covenants, easements, and restrictions are part of each of our deeds, and they're also on file with the town and the county. They are part of the record, and yes, I believe you're correct that you don't address those specifically.
Very good. Then having received this input, I think it's wise to table this until we've had our attorneys review and give comment and feedback on that.
I would agree.
I agree.
I think we got to hear from the rest of the residents if there are more people.
Very good. So yes, we could have more folks come then.
So I have a few comments also.
You said your name is Tom Travato. What's your address?
1534 Cranberry Pond. Just a copy for each of you. Also attached to it is an email that sets the neighborhood.
Not the whole neighborhood.
Yes, that's correct. It was only sent to partial, to certain neighbors. So if I may, good evening, members of the planning board. My name's Tom Travato. My wife and I reside at 1534 Cranberry Pond Trail. I'm here to express our opposition to the special use permit for a short-term rental on our street. We know you're very familiar with Town Code 211-37 and its intent to protect the residential neighborhoods from unhosted commercial lodging. The unambiguous intent is to prevent the unhosted short-term rentals that, quote, threaten the residential character and quality of life in the neighborhoods. Our concern is that the operational structure proposed here does not meet this standard. Our objections are centered on 3 distinct points. 1, the gap between off-site owners and on-site managers. because Seth and Asami are the property owners and any permit granted will be issued in their names, yet it is confirmed that they will be living overseas, managing bookings remotely, and are identifying their basement tenants as proxy co-hosts. In doing so, the applicants are attempting to use the letter of the law to break the spirit of the law. The definitions in Section B of 211-27 were not intended to usurp the legislative intent defined in Section A. They were never intended as a loophole to rebrand an absentee commercial operation as a hosted rental. The legal permit holders responsible to the town will be thousands of miles away, while tenants living downstairs have no ownership equity in our community and no authority over who is booked upstairs. Managing a commercial rental from abroad through on-site proxy caretakers and a rental agency is an unhosted operation in practice and by definition. So too, a concerning precedent for Victor. Approving this remote booking proxy managed model sets a risky precedent for single-family zones across Victor. It signals to non-resident investors and absentee landlords that they can purchase homes, place caretakers in a basement, and operate a full commercial lodging operation from anywhere in the world, shifting the monitoring burden onto neighboring families and code enforcement. Number 3, commercialization. Operating this home as a short-term rental requires global online marketing, putting our private, quiet, residential neighborhood on a public commercial map. This will subject our neighborhood to a continuous cycle of anonymous, unfamiliar, and unknown transient occupants. In closing, in their email to the neighborhood, Seth and Asami wrote that they, quote, thoroughly enjoy being in this community. On that point, we agree. But the character relies on the residential stability, not rotating commercial lodging. It's a striking contradiction that upon leaving, the applicants proposed a commercial model that permanently disrupts the very community they claim to love, leaving the neighbors who stay behind to bear the consequences. One last point, we acknowledge that as any property owner in the town of Victor, Seth and Asami are legally able to rent their home long-term during their time overseas. In that case, the renters would become stakeholders and vested members in our community. In other words, good neighbors. That is not what they propose. We therefore ask the planning board to uphold the zoning code as written and deny this permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. If you would, your names and addresses, please.
Bear with me. I have copies for you. My name is Wayne Hyde. This is my wife, Sally Dixon. We're at 1516 Cranberry Pond Trail. We feel the approval of this short-term rental permit being requested is inappropriate for several reasons. This type of commercial activity is not at all in keeping with the character or nature of the neighborhood. These rentals are proposed to be hosted not by the property owners, but by friends as their agents. We feel the absence of the owners will compromise the commitment to maintaining the property in a way that will guarantee to preserve and protect the health, character, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood. No other property owners within Cranberry Pine Highlands neighborhood have ever offered short-term rentals. And it's a precedent that we feel should be avoided to maintain the privacy and serenity of the neighborhood.
as it was originally conceived and intended by its developer, architect Victor Mellon. Could I have my wife read the rest of this? I'm in trouble with this.
We also feel that we will be directly impacted by the increased traffic on the private drive serving the Horcher residents at 1514 and the Zito residents at 1512. This drive is only partially paved, and even the current traffic impacts the use of our screen porch, which faces the drive. The traffic creates dust, noise, and limits our privacy while using our porch. Increased traffic, which is inevitable with the approval of this permit, will only exacerbate the issue. And finally, Wayne is a licensed master plumber and has been for 40 years, and as such, he highly doubts that the original designer approval of the aerobic septic system for the Horcher property considered an occupancy of 8 people on a regular basis. This is what the permit would allow. Given the Horcher property's proximity to Cranberry Pond itself and to other neighbors' properties, a failure of their system could be catastrophic to the environment and to nearby neighbors' water wells. This is a case where denial of a short-term rental permit could be the ounce of prevention that avoids the pound of cure. And finally, we wish nothing but the best for the Horcher family. They've been friendly with us and we with them. We've expressed that to them. Regardless of the outcome here, we sincerely hope our relationship can continue without animosity. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, good evening.
Lori Flaherty, 7735 High Grove in Cranberry Pond Highlands neighborhood. I would have prepared a statement, but evidently we weren't notified of this permit. I just happened to go on this evening and find that this was on the docket because the family didn't share this information with the entire neighborhood, but I assure you when I did find out today, there were a number of neighbors that found out for the first time and weren't pleased. So I'm here to support the other neighbors that have voiced their concern with this permit, seriously concerned with the amount of traffic and all the points that were already noted by the other folks speaking. So I just want to make that noted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Camille. I am hopefully one of the long-term tenants that would be in the floor below this possible Airbnb. Just wanted to introduce myself to the neighbors of Cranberry Pond and give a little bit of background. I met Asami and Seth through being a forest school educator in Naples, and I am a part of the Naples community and Canandaigua community where my partner and I live currently. We're on a month-to-month and have been struggling to make contributions to our savings in preparation to buy a house, just because of rental prices. I don't have to explain that to you guys. But I just want to kind of explain what this would mean to me and how I value community and the serenity of the beautiful property and privacy. And I want all of these same things that the neighbors want. I really do. And it would bring me a lot of honor and joy. And I feel confident that I could maintain and honor these needs. I have experience in managing staff, and I have experience working for Airbnbs. And it means a lot to me just because it would be a supplemental income for my partner and I to eventually own our own property. And I would love nothing more. I don't consider these people just my friends, but I consider them very, very close friends and possibly even family to me. And I feel comfortable maintaining their space and maintaining everybody's needs. And I respect everybody's concerns as well, because in the midst of a modern, monopolized residential homeowning for Airbnbs, I don't support that, but I think this situation is perhaps a little bit more unique, or at least I feel like it is. So, yeah, that's just all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions? Certainly.
Well, first off, my wife and I will be going to Japan, but we are planning on going for a year just to get our kids' education over there. She's a Japanese national, so it'd be a good, time for us to get our culture for our children. But we will be returning to Cranberry Pond no matter what, so it's not a everlasting thing. This is not like a commercial thing that we're trying to do. We're not trying to ruin any neighborhood or the fabric of the community for sure. And that's why we chose Camille to kind of be our host as well. And just a few other things. I do have the covenant here. I read through the covenant. As far as I understand, we're not building a second building, and that is where the clause of having a rental unit is. So we'll be renting our downstairs and our upstairs. It's all one property. I think Victor didn't want to have multiple buildings and people living throughout like the properties, because they are larger properties than other areas of the town. And we're lucky for that for sure. And in our listing as well, we're limiting their access. We do have like neighborhood walkways that go throughout, and we're telling them that they can only access our property, so they won't have access to the rest of the greater Cranberry Pond as far as like walking and traveling and looking at. So I wanted to point that out as well. We also plan on putting a sign up on our little driveway that we share with John Zito that suggests a 5 mile per hour speed limit, as well as a watch for children. They do have children and a dog there as well. So we want to make sure that we keep any dust to a minimum. I mean, 5 miles per hour, I did a little research. It seems like that the dissipation of dust at 5 miles per hour is negligible. So hopefully that won't impact the sun porch at Wayne's house too much. And I know the parking is outside, but if you go up and down our street at this point, not a lot of people follow that covenant. There's cars outside, there's trailers outside, there's all sorts of things that people park in their driveways currently. So I understand that's in the covenant, but I also understand that that part of the covenant isn't well followed right now. So I would just like to point that out. Let me see if I had any other notes, sorry. And really, I love the passion of the neighborhood. I'm glad people came out. I'm sorry we didn't email everybody. We were trying to email people within the 1,000-foot, just got the notice, just to let them know about that. And we went out and had conversations and emailed several people individually that we knew. So we wanted to keep those lines of communication open and make sure we were listening to everybody. And we definitely hear everybody's comments and appreciate that they came in and were willing to spend their time to come talk to you all about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the board on what we've heard?
I'd just like to reiterate that this is being presented as a hosted rental. It is not. It is an unhosted rental. The owners of the property will not be in the country during its duration. And I have the code here. I've read it, as I'm sure you are quite familiar with it. The definition of owner is, kind of implies that you could have a separate party be that representative. But that would totally obviate, it would deny the legislative intent of this statute. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I think based on what we've heard, there's a number of issues, I think, that call for us to keep the public hearing open, first of all. Secondly, to defer a decision on this. I think the discussion of the covenant, I appreciate you bringing that with you, but I would like feedback from the town attorney on the covenant issue relative to the code issue as well. In terms of owner-occupied versus managed property. And then the feedback about the septic and the occupancy is curious to me as well. And I wonder if that's something that might be worthy of review as well. So,
yeah, I agree. I feel like there's enough here that's been discussed tonight that we should take some time to investigate and so that you have more information, solid information to make an informed decision. One of the things that I believe we've done in the past with short-term rentals is do them for a period of time, issue a special use permit maybe for a period of a year or and to see how it goes. And then I think they've been reissued on another for another 3-year. Adam, please feel free to chime in if you've got more to say on that.
In code, a condition of the special use permit, there's terms. So the issuance is good for 1 year, in which case the applicant will return, and then the planning board could choose to renew the special use permit for a period up to 3 years beyond that. So the intent of the code is if the town was to receive a lot of complaints on the short-term rental, the planning board may consider not renewing the special use permit in between those term time.
Okay, thanks.
So I think we're going to have to revisit a few of the items and,
Okay, I know when we put in our septic system, we did have it, built for a 5-bedroom house, so it should hold.
Yeah, generally,
what it
right?
should,
That's
but,
how
yeah.
I think, Scott, you can maybe attest to that too. The
Right.
septic systems are designed based on the number of bedrooms in the home.
Yeah, it's based on bedrooms, and we did up it from the initial and had to go through Labella and whatever to
Okay.
make sure that the septic system could handle 5 bedrooms. But
And I think this development did put in some aerobic systems, as was mentioned, as a precaution for the pond nearby. And I remember meeting Victor Mellon, who was very much an influence of this property.
okay.
yeah, it is an aerobic system. We can give you guys the details on that. I think they have it at the planning board. But
I'm not sure that's issue is quite so important as the other ones that we've touched
Very
on.
good. Okay, thank you. All right. And then the 6th item on our agenda is the Nova Rise preliminary subdivision. Application 02 PS 2026, property located at 973 Brownsville Road, property owned by Morel Team in Motion and RKH Golf Incorporated. Applicants are requesting approval to construct a 74-lot clustered subdivision on a 158.2-acre parcel that includes 3 parcels. Good evening.
Good evening. Matt Tomlinson with Marathon Engineering. I'm joined by several members of the development team and the Morels as owners and developers. And I know that this board has heard us present as well as the developers several times, and wanted to just give you the update since the last time that we were here, and then see if the board had any additional questions that wanted to be discussed. So since the last time we were here, I believe that we had submitted only a letter responding to staff and town engineer comments originally, and we had submitted updated plans or revised plans dated 8/7 to the town that addressed those comments on the plans themselves. And I want to hit a couple of the key items on there, most of which are related to the drawing that is up on the screen currently. So the revised plans reduced clearing limits behind several of the lots 50 to 52, which is the south end of the cul-de-sac, leaving the tree line a little closer to the house pads and reducing the amount of clearing.
Pointer to...
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
50 to 52 is right there. Originally, the plan showed clearing to the back of the lots, and now we're leaving it where it exists today, kind of in that north-south direction, plan east-west. And then the other area where we were proposing more clearing behind the residences was lots 30 to 32, 32 to 34, up where the flag lots are, and we're, other than about 20 feet of clearing behind lot 32, sorry, I can't see the numbers on the screen, so I'm bouncing back and forth, in order to create a backyard for that house. The remainder of that tree line is going to remain where the prior submission included clearing back almost to the lot lines in that area. In addition, the landscaping plan as a whole itself has been added to the plan set. Originally, when submitted, we had provided just notes indicating how many street trees per lot that would be installed. So this plan provides the layout for those in compliance with the number of trees per linear foot of the roadway, as well as notation and placement of some additional buffering plantings to the south property line to the adjacent subdivision. And it's noted or suggested that those 20 to 30 pine trees be planted about 7 feet in height, and they be field located along with some topsoil berming to maximize the screening potential if there are thin areas along that area. I know that the developer had kind of showed or provided a typical landscape berm that would be formed up to about 4 feet in height with some 7 to 9 foot evergreen trees to be planted on those and to be formed along that south property line. Sorry, north is to the right on the page there. Other comments returned really were relatively straightforward, and I think that those were discussed. I'm happy to get into detail on any of the items in the letter or on the plans that aren't specific to the landscaping. I know that there was also discussion relative to the vehicular connection. I know that we had included correspondence as it related to that within our response letter, and also we were provided a copy of the memo from the code enforcement officer as it related to the fire code and the need for a secondary emergency vehicle access road and its proximity to the initial or the original primary entrance off of Brownsville Road. We had also submitted some graphics that included looking at the feasibility or viability of a secondary roadway connection down through the steep slope area to Brownsville Road, and I believe that the board was provided this, or this was discussed as far as the impacts that that would have on the steep slopes and the cuts and the clearing. And really, it's not a viable alternative, especially when an existing stub is provided to the property line. So that's kind of the overview of the main updates or changes. I know that we're looking to get the seeker process kind of started, but it sounds like that may occur at the next planning board meeting if we've been able to satisfy the board's questions and answer comments submitted by staff. But again, I'm happy to dive into the detail of any of those comments if desired by the board, and Bill and Rich are here as well for any questions that they could answer.
I'm going to jump in. So looking at the plans and sort of sensitive to the concerns of the folks on Azano Circle of privacy and the separation between the neighborhoods, looking at lots 32 through 36, the flag lots there, it's pretty dense along the back of the neighbors' properties on Azano Circle. And it seems to me that there's quite an extensive bit of grading that's going to have to go on there to accommodate those lots as well. With that in mind, I asked Wes if he could put together a concept, if you will, of how we could make it actually better for the residents in 32 through 36, so they're not on the hill looking into neighbors' backyards, as well as providing, I guess, additional privacy and maybe an enhanced buffer between the properties and the folks on Azano Circle. So if we could maybe look at your screen, Wes?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. If Susie could maybe switch to my computer screen, that would be helpful. So for the people that are in the audience, we're talking about the area that's kind of circled in red over here it's on the left side of the map near Azano Circle, this area. So I've highlighted a couple of parcels on the updated plan set. First, I wanted to say thank you for including a landscaping plan, showing some buffer. I think that really does help address some of the comments that have been received from the public in the planning board. So these lots that we're talking about, I've got two that are highlighted in red here and one highlighted in yellow. Nothing real scientific, but I wanted to talk about these two lots in specific when I'm comparing it to the grading plan, and just, there have been some comments from the public talking about how the character of this particular development that's proposed feels different than what's there in the Tuscany Hills neighborhood. So, as a transition area, or maybe to create more of a transition zone between the two neighborhoods, what I was thinking that the planning board might want to consider, and the developer might want to consider as well, is potentially eliminating the 2 lots that are highlighted in red as building lots. You can kind of see, if I zoom in here, you'll see, let me see if I can do that. I think, you know, the grading may work. We've got some contours that are pointed towards, on this upper lot, that are pointed towards lot 35 and would likely be directed. Let me check the grades here. 640. So that drainage would be, I guess, directed in between the 2 lots, it appears. I see Rich Teedy getting up. He might have commentary on this.
It is, yeah, there's a storm inlet there at the
Right
corner
there.
of the lots, and then
Okay.
overflow provided around and down to the south.
Okay. So this might create an opportunity for more of a vegetative buffer between the lots to the south, the existing Tuscany Hill lots to the south. And it might offer an opportunity to, leave some of the existing grade. You can see that some of these contours are getting pushed back, and you've got a little steeper grade here. But it might offer an opportunity to do a little serpentine design with the driveway. So you've got maybe something that's a little less steep and provides not necessarily a straight path back to these homes, but maybe a curvilinear sort of path as well. And I guess the same thought with the yellow lot is considering eliminating that lot as well. I know I'm cutting into, your design of the required homes that you're looking to do, but you've got some grading here as well. Is this doable? Yeah, I guess you could design it, but maybe you're separating these two homes a little bit, providing each with their own access, and just providing a little bit more of a transition and buffer between the existing neighborhood and the proposed. So I offer that to you guys as the planning board to see if that's something that you're supportive of, to provide direction to the developer. And I'll just leave it at that for right now.
Very good.
Yeah.
I've got a couple comments on it for the board's
Certainly.
consideration while you think about it. So, as it relates to buffering from the adjacent neighbor, as a reminder to the board, and I know we've talked about the development as a whole quite a bit, but I just want to remind the board of some numbers. So that existing buffer conservation area that's proposed to the neighbors is 50 feet on the development's property, and that's the rear yards, so almost 80 feet to the rear of those houses. So the separation there, along with, as you can see on the grading plan, no grading being proposed within that buffer, leaves the 50 feet as it exists today, which is a very substantial buffer when you talk about residential to residential. Many times where you see enhanced or wider buffers would be between commercial and residential, or multifamily and residential, but not in a like neighborhood with the same similar density and zoning. As you can imagine, 3 lots on a 72-lot subdivision is a pretty substantial reduction in number of lots. I think that the developer has been very open to increasing that buffer to the 50 feet. I think we were about 25 feet to the clearing limit before these revisions, and had also included narrower lots where we've gone and widened those out to kind of mimic the character of the neighborhood to the south. So I think that there has been quite a bit of consideration of that in addition to the supplemental planting. So, I can't spend or decide the developer's money, but, the initial reaction, especially given that we're not putting these houses 20 feet higher than the neighbors where they'd be looking into the neighbor's yard. Lots 34 and 33 are higher than 35 and 36, but those would be new construction. People know what they're buying as they're out there. And, they're not overlooking into the backyards to the south side. That lot 34 at elevation 642 is roughly about what the existing grade of that lot to the immediate south is. And then same for the lower 2 houses at 35 and 36. Pretty similar as it relates to grade, just kind of following the road as it climbs up. So I want to just kind of give those numbers and considerations, because the loss of 3 lots, possibly they could be picked up elsewhere in the subdivision, but now you're talking about most likely additional lift stations to service those lots, because we'd be pushing them down the hill and that kind of thing. So I don't know, Rich and Bill, if there's anything to add there before we get the feedback from the board.
I guess I understand your concern in regards to privacy, and that's why we did add the 25 feet, so you have a whole 100 feet of conservation easement there. And also putting in the berm, which as you get to 34, the density's quite thick up there, and we're going to have to work to fit the berm that we've proposed, even in the space that's left, because there's such a large amount of trees through there. I walked it with a homeowner, and that was one of their concerns on lot 34. But 35, 36, I believe it's Scott that we back up to. One of his concerns as well was just having the 2-lane stub road. He was hoping that we might be able to run some trees like we're doing on the property, on the new property on Copperfield along his lot line, so that he doesn't have so much exposure from the road, because obviously it's a stub road now, but now there's going to be traffic. So that was something that I promised Scott that we'd talk about, and I'm open to that proposal, because it would give him privacy in his backyard, or his side yard, because that's opening right up now to the traffic.
That would be potentially this work.
Yes,
To add some
exactly.
trees along
Yeah.
would be on his property.
Yes, on his property, because we really don't have any space in the roadway. So we'd work with him doing some type of berm like we've proposed on the backside. So I think, that probably helps him out as much, trying to create some privacy back there, because even if we remove those lots, it still leaves that road exposed to his backyard, which is much more loss of privacy.
Kel, do you have any thoughts on this concept? We'll get to the rest of the.
Yeah, no, I do, it is appealing. I do think that, what Russ has drafted as a concept proposal, I do think would be appealing to the local residents. And certainly I understand the loss of 3 lots, but is there a place to relocate versus lose the lots? But I think anything we can do to reduce the density and add the adjacent area. And by the way, the buffering was a nice enhancement for sure.
Agreed.
But I think this just maybe could go one more level of trying to create that community without having houses, immediately in the vicinity there. So I like the concept.
Thank you.
See if it can be worked, I guess, to a resolution.
Trish?
I also like the concept. I think, anything that's going to create an additional buffer that will bring comfort to the neighborhood, I think would be, helpful in this project to the Azana residents. I like the concept, and again, I agree that perhaps finding an additional space somewhere else, if you have to make up the lots, perhaps. I do like the concept.
I guess I'm having a hard time visualizing the benefits of what crosses my mind is if there's a photo simulation or something we could do to see how it looks under existing conditions and under proposed conditions, and how this would do something, or perhaps the landscaping that you're identifying could be done to achieve the same goal and still preserve the lots that you're asking for. Sure.
Is there an opportunity perhaps, with looking at that, having another visit to the site again, perhaps, or is that something we could look at?
If you think it would help.
I think personally, now that I've seen this, I'd like to drive by it between now and the next meeting. It doesn't have to be a regularly scheduled event, but
We can see it from the stub.
Yeah, I think you can drive up the stub road and see that quite easily.
And then Bill and his group have been working with the neighbors to try to address some of the concerns, and if they can do something, obviously, to help out. So that may be helping to alleviate some of the concerns, specifically in this area as well. But, I will say, in addition to the 50-foot buffer, we put the side yard and obviously quite a separation. So we have almost 80 feet from our property line to the first property there as you come around the corner. And then again, it's side yard towards the backyard, so you're not orienting backyards overlooking that kind of thing. So I do think that the orientation of the lots really lends itself to, as much as possible, in addition to the supplemental landscaping, addressing those concerns.
Very good.
We gave the board an exact dimension of the 36's corner of that house to Scott's is 160 feet house to house. So we've done our best to try and create, as much separation there. I think we could do it with landscaping and even create some privacy in his side yard. Because that side yard is exposed to the yard, or to the road, and that's probably as much of a concern as, or sometimes even more of a concern than the backyard. If you have all this traffic driving by when you didn't previously, just looking, with the landscaping in the back, I think we're doing a pretty good job, and there's quite a bit of spacing. But if we can do something on the side yard, that might create some privacy still, give him some privacy. He's got a beautiful backyard. He's put a lot into it. And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to create privacy back there. I would think. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but I did meet him out there and we talked about that.
Certainly.
Yep.
And to reiterate what Al said, I do appreciate what you're doing with the berm and the existing plan does quite a bit compared to what we originally started talking about. So again, this was a further thought about that. So.
Yep.
I think, Joe, just real quick, what Wes has kind of proposed here, I think, does more closely mimic the entrance onto Brownsville Road. Because I remember one of the earlier renderings, right, they showed this, kind of several, a long distance to the first house, and I think some of the residents reacted very positively to that. And on the backside, though, it seemed like it was much more dense. So anything we could do to kind of mimic that longer entrance, I just think would mitigate some of the concerns of the residents there. But understand there's an economic issue.
Sure. But that's a good point. Thank you. You also mentioned the code issue with the fire road, and I know that's been a discussion from the various public hearings relative to what codes have applied at different points. I know Ballerina Court came up at one point, why single access there, et cetera. So that's I think the genesis of the letter from Adam Reisig in the Code Enforcement Office. And we do have a letter in your packet from Adam. And Adam, I don't know, do you want to speak to that, or should I hit the high points and have you available to clarify, or do you want to just go through the whole thing with us?
I could paraphrase the memo. I don't know if everyone wants to listen to me read the entire thing. Essentially, so code enforcement typically reserves its comments to the plans that are in front of us, not on speculation or ideas. So because there's been a lot of conversation about the stub road, we felt it prudent just to inform the planning board of some current fire codes when it comes to fire apparatus access roads and how it's going to apply to this proposed subdivision. The Novarized subdivision is proposing 72 residential units, and the current fire code, 2025 fire code, would require that 2 separate and remote fire apparatus access roads be provided. How this differs from the Ballerina Court subdivision is that was before this code section was adopted. This code section was adopted in 2015. That subdivision was approved in 2013. The idea of the trail type connectivity between Azano Circle and St. John's Parkway was allowed in 2017 with the approval of the Tuscany Hills Rise subdivision, because Azano Circle only services 28 homes, so the code didn't apply because that code requirement for 2 separate and remote fire apparatus access roads kicks in at 30 residential dwelling units. And then there was also a suggestion of possibly creating a choke point on what's called the Frontier Way now, the stub road. It has worked in other developments for the developer. However, the fire apparatus access road is required to be a minimum of 20 feet wide. So you really can make a choke point and still meet the intent of the code. If you have any other questions beyond that, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I think to your point here, as well as to the second connection to Brownsville Road, I think the developers made the point that the steep slopes are such that the separation between 2 points on Brownsville Road are prohibited by the grade, or at least the cost is prohibitive. to do a second road. Anybody have any questions for Adam relative to his letter?
That was very helpful.
I like seeing chapter and verse. I understand where it's coming from. That makes sense to me. Trish, it looks like.
I have a question. And several residents have made the suggestion that could that connection be emergency only? And I know you said that has to be at least 20 foot wide, and so there is no scenario, I just want to understand that fully, because that's been brought up so many times, that yes, it needs to have two separate entrances, but what has been suggested over and over and over and over again is, okay, we can accept that that's the second entrance, but could that be emergency only? You're saying that that's not possible, that that could be an emergency only entrance instead of a cut-through?
So the code says that it has to be built to the standards of a fire apparatus access road. I don't know how you would build a road to that standard and then prohibit, I don't know how you would achieve prohibiting traffic through the road at all times. And is it beneficial for the development to have a road put in place that can't be used? I don't know. I'd have to get back to you on some of the details of the fire apparatus access road. I'm just not sure. You couldn't put barriers or anything like that, and if that's what you're.
No, I didn't know if that existed or that was even possible. Just because that's been brought up so many times, I just really want to understand that. Is that something does that exist anywhere else? Is that something that's
Yeah, I
a
could look into
possibility
it.
or
I
not?
just don't know. I guess I could look to see in what way you would prevent through traffic. Because a sign isn't going to stop anybody from using the road.
Probably, I would imagine there would be people that would try to scoot through there, but if there was signage saying that it was an emergency only cut through, would that maybe stop the major flow of the massive traffic going through?
Not sure.
But I don't even know if it's even possible based on, the code. I just wanted to know, just
And
because it's
would
been
it
brought
be
up so many
enforceable? I mean,
times.
that's the other question. If it's just through signage, is it enforceable?
Right.
If someone did use it, do you get ticketed? I mean, those are questions we've never really.
I don't know,
had to
that's
address
why I'm
before.
asking, because
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
the answer, but just
Yeah.
because it's been brought up over and over and over and over again, I just want to understand the possibilities of that or not.
I can look into it. My opinion is that to meet the standards of a fire apparatus access road, it's going to look very much like a two-lane street.
Okay.
And it's my opinion that it would be hard to prohibit traffic while maintaining the access for fire apparatus.
Okay.
But there's also the ability to do traffic calming, and I guess in my mind, that sort of relates to, a traffic analysis, and I assume that's being presented for us to consider during the seeker part of what we do. But for projects I'm familiar with, in situations like this, sometimes when you need the two entrances as proposed, then traffic calming measures are initiated, and they can take various forms, and I prefer to let the traffic engineers speak to what options might be available, but I think that's kind of feeds off of what you're saying. I mean, and what Adam's saying as well is I think, yes, perhaps two connections is necessary to be useful and open and all that, but I also heard from the public about the concern about speed, and so maybe we should kind of put all this together and come up with a good thought process on how to handle this connection with respect to speed and emergency access.
I'm familiar with the pinch point as a relatively common traffic calming thing. Speed bumps might be another.
Yeah.
Although I hate to be riding an ambulance, but.
Your brother lives in a village where we have some traffic calming.
Oh, that's true.
You may want to chat with him a little bit.
If I could offer a couple of things on that. We have a stop-controlled intersection where we're tying to the neighborhood to the south, about 150, 180 feet south of the connecting road where we're going. So traffic calming as it relates to speed within that 180 feet is relatively minimal from an effectiveness or opportunity. most highway superintendents I know really hate speed bumps in roadways, and I know that that would not be typical in the town of Victor for subdivision roadways. We did have that comment or suggestion and replied that none are proposed as far as dip speed bumps, that kind of things. I think that was our understanding from what the highway superintendent is looking for. This will be a dedicated road, so ultimately the town is going to own it. So, you know, from a traffic standpoint with 2 connection points, we're well under any thresholds that would require a traffic study from a seeker standpoint, going by the rule of thumb for state DOTs or that kind of thing. And I think we've provided some of that information to Wes as well for his consideration kind of in working on the seeker. Of course, we're open to anything as it relates to that, but we kind of get stuck between the rock and a hard place sometimes if the highway superintendent says, you're not putting a speed bump in here, and we're looking for something, because the roadway itself being 21 feet with gutters, if you go down to the 20-foot minimum required, that's only a foot narrower, you know, and it really is not something that is like curb bump outs or other opportunity that might be in more of a village or city type setting, so.
Very good. I haven't had a real opportunity to look at the plans in depth, but Al, have you had an opportunity? to make more
Just briefly,
comment?
yeah, no other questions or comments at
Okay.
this point.
Scott?
I would just add to what Matt was saying is that maybe the numbers don't trigger a high-powered traffic study, but I think just an observation of the situation by an engineer who specializes in traffic, whether it's from Labella or from the developer, I think I'd like to see an opinion in this regard from a Patui, a professional transportation operations engineer, which I am not, just to see what their take is on it with respect to what you're saying. And yeah, speed controls, where the stop signs are going and how that mitigates the speed as well. And certainly a highway superintendent who doesn't like speed tables or things like that, that's certainly something to be considered also. I guess I'd just like to see it kind of coming from that particular direction.
And I think that makes sense, given that we've been looking to dot the i's and cross the t's in terms of code and some of the other issues. I think that makes a lot of sense. Is that something Labella can look at or point
Yeah.
us in the right direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I can talk with Lorenzo and/or David Cruzy at our office and get you guys some feedback on that.
And we had
Great.
submitted a traffic letter from McFarland Johnson as part of our application in the engineer's report, so I'm happy to have them supplement if necessary, or that'll be kind of the starting point for Wes's folks to go from, so.
Okay.
Thank you. Trish? And this is a public hearing. Do we have any folks that would like to comment? Good evening.
Good evening. Mike Bonacci, 1081 Azano Circle. I think I have 3 questions. Number 1, it's my understanding that to meet the fire apparatus 20-foot rule, that the road does not have to be paved, so it could be a gravel. Would that be something that we could consider as well? Because we are trying to reduce traffic flow, and if we're worried about fire access is the main thing.
We would have to
so-
check, Adam, because that's something you could check, whether it needs to be paved or not. I know that the, anecdotally, the connection between Azano Circle and St. John's Parkway is gravel. And when a town plow caught fire on St. John's Parkway, that gravel path was not plowed, and traffic was just at a halt on St. John's Parkway. People were locked into the neighborhood at that point. So there are issues with gravel, but whether it's acceptable or not, we can find out.
Yes, and looking at the subdivision, we mentioned speed bumps, stop signs. Where were the stop signs being proposed again? Leading from Mazzano onto Affronti Way into the subdivision, where are the stop signs being proposed? Are those outlined anywhere, or is that just a concept right now?
Could we point those out, or are they?
Okay.
Okay.
My last question was, the clutter at the top left there, the 3 lots that that the town engineer identified earlier with the 2 lots underneath. I think they were 32 through 36. So that's 5 lots. What is like the square footage or the acreage of those 5 lots compared to the rest of the subdivision? It seems like we're cramming 5 lots there. And it seems like it's kind of, like those first 2 lots just, yeah, I kind of agree with the engineer that those first 2 lots with the back 3, we're cramming 5 in. Is there 5 lots there in an acreage that's a lot less than the other area?
I'm sure he's taking notes for that
Yeah.
as well. Get you the answers.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 1087 Azano Circle, James Phelan. I appreciate you bringing up the those 3 lot scenario. So my 2 concerns, or my major concern personally, is traffic. I live down the hill, so cars are going to come out of that neighborhood and go flying down a hill to a stop sign on Plaster Mill, and so that is my concern. I can't speak for Scott, but I would assume he would genuinely support that buffer, extra buffer that you guys mentioned. I support it too. I think having a buffer like that coming from the entrance to the neighborhood and also to the end, someone, I forgot who mentioned that. I think you did, Al. I think that's a great concept as far as delineating their community as their community and ours is ours. Bill has been working with us, and I appreciate you, Bill. The only other question or concern I had is that the berms, I'm just speaking for Scott, because I think you initially stated last meeting, they're going to be 5 feet high and 25 feet long, and I think we talked about that. But then I just heard that now they're going to be 4 feet high and then 8 feet wide and 25 feet long. So you kind of went down in height based off last meeting. So I didn't know if that was, that's a concern. We wanted to go, we requested 8 feet last meeting, 8 feet high.
Okay.
So, okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you're ready, sure.
I'll go backwards because that's how my list is. So berms 4 to 5 feet high, so they're going to be shaped. We don't want to just have kind of the triangular berm. We want this to look nice and be planted. So 5 feet, generally speaking, is going to be the height. We're going to plant the trees on them. We want those to get enough water to thrive. So that'll be shaped, and again, we want to make sure that that satisfies what's needed with some on-site working with town staff, whether that's code enforcement or whoever, to make sure it's in the right spot at the right height and shape it.
Did we start at 8 feet and end up at 4 relative to his comments?
So 8 feet on a berm, just in Wes can chime in, but usually you don't want to go steeper than 1 on 3. So that ends up with almost 50 feet wide by the time you go up 8 feet vertically, kind of crest it and go back down. So without encroaching into the conservation area, that starts taking up an awful lot of real estate and doesn't really provide a lot when you've got the grade change and the buffering that we're talking about as far as additional screening. So, so 4 to 5 feet, yeah, absolutely.
So I met with Van Putty. They do a lot of our landscaping, professional, do a lot of work in the residential. And he said once you get over 5 feet, you could have a problem with the root structure of the pines. And so that can be an issue too. So initially you might raise it, which is great, but that pine might not grow healthy. He said at 5 feet, you're kind of at the maximum so that the root system can get down below just the buffer and the topsoil. So that was his advisement as well. But I do mean to keep it at that 5 feet.
So I had some plantings put in my yard a year or so ago, and it was raised when the plantings went in, but as time went by, the dirt settled, and it's dropped down probably a foot or so. Do you accommodate that? Is that going to be the finished height is 4 feet, or is it going to start at 4?
Our goal is to be at about 5 feet at the top of the berm, and we've done many of these, and I haven't had any issues, and if we do, we'll come back and fix them.
Thank you.
And then you've got a tree on top of that as well?
Yeah, there'll be 7 to 8 foot pines. I just put them in my backyard as well. I put some Scotch pines and they're growing well. Yep.
Stop signs.
Yeah, stop sign. So typically what happens when a road goes for dedication, again, Wes, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually the developer is responsible to purchase the sign, and the highway superintendent actually does the installation as part of the dedication. So stop control would be at the intersection of the cul-de-sac at the main road, stopped for the cul-de-sac to allow through, stop sign here at this intersection, and then stop sign at Brownsville. And then depending on what the highway superintendent requires for the short stub road on this side with the turnaround, there likely would be a stop sign here as well. But until or if that ever gets developed, that would have pretty minimal use as far as the stop sign at that intersection.
Very good.
Acreage of the 5 lots compared to all, that's a great question. So the typical or the minimum lot size, if you will, on kind of the straightaway, 75-foot wide lot widths by 170-foot depth. So that's 0.29 acres. I'll read off the acreage for the 5 lots that we were talking about in the corner, which are 32 through 36. So that's 0.46 acres for lot 32, 0.52 acres for lot 33, 0.7 acres for lot 34, 0.36 acres for lot 35, and 0.69 acres for lot 36. So all of those lots are larger than, quite a bit larger than the minimum lot size, if you will, throughout the rest of the community. And again, some of that is capturing conservation area, the flag area, so on, but the buildable area is the same size or greater than all of the other lots that we're proposing through the subdivision.
Thank you.
I did, let's see, there was one other, go gravel. So the road is going to be dedicated. A lot of times when gravel is utilized for emergency vehicle access, it's not within a dedicated right-of-way. This would be a dedicated right-of-way connection. I don't anticipate that that would be permitted to be unpaved within a dedicated right-of-way by the Victor design standards, but of course, if that's something that was desired, we of course could take a look at it, but I would not anticipate that the town would accept that for dedication. And then I had a question as it related to the 5 lots there that Wes had marked up. We will, of course, take a look at that, and obviously the goal would be not to lose any parcels, and if that can be handled via landscaping like we're proposing, that would be our preference. If we're able to kind of slide things around and move things, would the board be amenable to a couple of the lots going to narrower than 70 feet in order to relocate some of those, or would that not be an acceptable alternative? I just want to, before we take a look at it, know what kind of flexibility we have in working that around.
I'm not inclined to go that route. I don't know.
If that were the only solution on the table, I would certainly consider it.
I would as
Certainly,
well.
there's flag lots where we have 20 feet wide,
Sure.
right? So,
I'd want to see how it looks, but
Yeah. I mean, wanting to preserve your lot count, right?
That's the goal.
the primary objective, right?
I get it.
Okay, well, let us come back to you with what
Certainly.
that might look like, and we might not be able to do
Again,
anything, but
it's
we
a
wanna know
concept. We're
what our-
looking, to respond to the residents of Zano Circle's concerns, and we thought this might be an option for us, so.
Were there any other questions that we can answer for the board in advance of the next meeting?
Good, well, we're going to keep the public hearing open, and I think with that, yes, sir.
This is in regards to the fire code, Adam. I think we're, as the neighborhood, we understand that there has to be 2 access points, and then we're bringing up this fire road, and we realize that if we put emergency access only on it, we're not gonna stop everybody. We understand that, but it would sure reduce the traffic. If it had white lines with crosses on it, or whatever, however the pattern would be, I think that would be amenable to slow down some of the traffic and force FedEx, UPS, mail, all those other individuals that come into our neighborhoods, lawn care services, yard services, all that stuff, waste management. So that would reduce that because they wouldn't be going down our street to get out of our neighborhood. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good, then. I think I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Scott moves.
I'll second.
Chris seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.